Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rise from the Ashes, the rally. This is the coaching call that I've been offering this winter for anybody that wants to come and talk about work, um, career pivoting, or maybe, you know, the aftermath of being laid off or let go or fired. Um, I think one thing that I want to say is that toxicity in the workplace is pretty common. It seems to be that it's kind of across the board, even if it's just a even if it's just a one-time experience with toxicity in the workplace. We had to understand that a lot of people are in leadership positions that have never gone to therapy, have never worked on themselves. So how do we expect them to be running organizations where there isn't any toxicity in the workplace? So it is very common, but does it mean that it's right? No, it doesn't. And so this gathering is really meant to get people to come together and strategize and to know that they are not alone. Because when you're in a toxic work environment, it can be quite isolating. And so, what we're going to do here today is we're just going to go over the top line of why you would maybe want to join a coaching call like this. And I'm going to give you like a little bit of ideas of what you can do if you're experiencing any of these symptoms or feelings. So, this coaching call is for someone who is exiting a toxic work environment. So maybe you're in a position where you're about to quit. You understand that the company culture is no longer in alignment with you. There's some people that really rub you the wrong way. Um, and you just really have to, um, you're the one that has to kind of rip the Band-Aid off, and you're the one that has to go ahead and put in your notice. And it's really hard for you. We're at the end of the astrological year and we had to let something go. And sometimes letting things go, it's really difficult. But in this book by Brene Brown, she works with a lot of corporate leaders. It's called Dare to Lead. She talks about having a hard conversation that the first 8 seconds or so, 7 to 8 seconds, are the worst. That in fact, what you think about to be hard, once you finally do it, it's not as hard as what you catastrophized in your head. So it's all about kind of getting over that hump. And you can think of it, 8 seconds, that's not a lot of time. So if you're in a point where um, the job that you're at is really weighing you down, I challenge you to put your notice in because life is short and we shouldn't be in relationships or working at jobs that drain us. Okay, the next thing, maybe you're experiencing toxicity while at work. Well, the advice that I would give you in this situation is I would really urge you to make a audit trail with all the conversations that you have with any direct reports or colleagues that are giving you trouble. Make sure that when you meet with them, face to face, that you follow up that meeting with an email with all the things that you've talked about. Put in deadlines, dates, put in other people's names that were mentioned. Make sure that there are receipts. That way you can, always pull them up if you're in a bind. Um, and another thing is if you're being framed as somebody that isn't doing their work, I want you to take initiative. That happened to me as well while I was at the job in the corporate world. And I got uh, I got the advice from a colleague of mine to be the one that takes initiative. If someone isn't responding to your emails and you kind of get a hunch that they're doing that on purpose, go to their desk, pick up the phone, call them. Take initiative. A lot of people today hide behind emails. Do the opposite. Have face-to-face conversations and then follow up with an email. Just make sure that you're taking initiative. Make sure that you are almost, if you want the job and you want to stay there, you're almost showing that you can do the job times five, that you're putting in five times much the effort than your colleagues. And eventually things should level out. If not, then yes, you probably should just leave for the sake of your sanity. Um, if you're in a position where you're healing from a toxic workplace, look, this can definitely produce um, moments of self-doubt. You could have a lot of self-esteem issues after a toxic work environment. And so I think a great thing to do when you're healing from a toxic workplace is to remember what things brought you joy, to connect with activities that, you really were good at prior to this job, and to remember that your job does not define you. Eckhart Tolle talks about this all the time, and it's all about what if you were ta what if you, what if your job was taken away from you this moment? If you're really, really attached to your job title, how debilitating that could be to some people. But remember, you're more than just your job. So connect with the things that bring you joy, that bring you purpose. That's a good idea for healing from a toxic workplace. If you're wishing for a career change, okay, um, that would be if you're in that position, I would say start to learn about new jobs. Start to think about your transferable skills. What can you take from the role that you're in now and apply it to a new role? So, for instance, I went from accounting to social media, and a lot of people were like, how did you swing that? Transferable skills. Everybody has them. And that is why we put our resume in past tense, leading, like the bullet points are in past tense, leading with a verb because it's about attaining that skill already. And you want to highlight the transferable skills on your resume when you're applying for a specific job that you want. So, as an accountant, I did a lot of analysis with numbers. And so when I went into social media, there is a part of it where there is metrics involved. And so I heavily doubled down on that with my resume and in the interviewing, how I could be useful. And it was true. I was the one person on the team that could really do the analysis of the metrics well and understand it and be able to present it. So there's always a transferable skill. And it's just about connecting the dots, taking time to step back and kind of like look at it as a whole. And you'll start to see, what you've used in this job that can apply to many other new jobs. So don't ever feel stuck because you're not. Remember, you're a well-rounded person. You probably have had other jobs prior to this one, that you're wishing to change. If you're dreaming for a sole purpose job, I would say natal chart. Go to the natal chart and um, module two in Rise from the Ashes, it's called The Rise. It's all about diving deep into the natal chart, looking at the nodes to find purpose, looking at Jupiter to see what you're naturally good at, looking at Mars and how you assert yourself, looking at your sun placement and what house it's in, what sign it is in to see where you really shine. That module is about an hour long. It will literally help you find a more sole purpose job. That is the whole idea behind that module. So check it out. Um, if you're hoping for guidance on where to go, the natal chart is also great. But I also do this a lot with the clients that I meet today. I mean, there's been a lot of times where I've worked with people that have been in between jobs. I mean, I'm a friend that a lot of my friends come to me for career advice because I've had so many different jobs in my lifetime. I like to say I've had a career portfolio, so I'm always willing to help. And you can reach out to me at Ruby Jade Rituals on social, and we can talk about how could maybe work together. Um, because sometimes it does take another person to help you kind of, rip the band-aid off, actually go after for what you want, instill the confidence, all that type of stuff. I worked with people when I was switching careers, and I don't think I would have been able to do it alone. So I totally understand. If you're needing assistance in the job search, it's the same type of thing. I could help. But working with a head hunter can be useful as well. At times you're kind of limited with them because you have to realize they're working with a company that has contracts from other companies. So they're only going to give you job opportunities with the companies that they have leads for. They're not going to go outside of that pool. So you just have to kind of keep that in the back of your head when you're working with a headhunter. If you're wanting to revamp a resume, I've done that with my clients. I'm very good at that. I've had 150 hours of paraprofessional training. I was a career specialist at MU Career Center at while I was at Mizzou. Um, I'm sure it's changed now, but I would have to say that numbers are huge on resumes. Think about it. It is a document that's mainly words. If you can highlight numbers and percentages or like actual numerical statistics, you're going to set yourself apart because really the recruiter is only going to look at your resume for about 10 seconds or less. And they're going to decide if they want to move you along. And the numbers are going to really catch their eye. So that's what I would say about that. If you're yearning for a coach who will keep you on track, I'm definitely that type of coach. I'm an astrologer, and I'm the type of astrologer where I'm not going to just tell you all the good things, I am I'm definitely going to show you your blind spots, and I think it's important, especially when you're going into some type of role. Like maybe the role is very sales focused, where you had to really assert yourself and put yourself out there, and you're more of like a yin, uh, your chart is more yin. It's more comprised of the water and earth signs. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a stretch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it. It's just important to kind of understand like your blind spots. And I think having somebody that knows astrology like myself, knows your goals, it's just a really helpful tool, especially when you blend them together and you use them for the career search. So I really hope that people have enjoyed this. I'm gonna think about if I'm gonna bring it back or not. Um, and if I did, it would be sometime in the fall. And maybe it might not be monthly, maybe it'll be like quarterly or something around that nature. But I think it would be great to have a group of people to get together and to talk about these things because I mean, I'm talking about these things all the time, one-on-one with friends, then they're dealing with it at work. So you're definitely not alone if you're going through this. But if you would like to learn more about me, you can go on my website, rubyjaderituals.us, and you can find all the different things that I do, and where I'll be popping up this spring and summer. All right, thanks so much for your support and have a lovely rest of your evening.